I've been replaying Red Dead Redemption 2 for the third time now, and I still cannot get over the scenery. But anyway, on my third replay, one question has dawned on me. What happened to John Marston's daughter? John's daughter is mentioned by John in the first Red Dead Redemption to Bonnie McFarlane during the first part of the game, and Javier Escuela refers to John having children, plural, in Mexico.
About what you're doing, brother. You saw me out. Didn't that life we had mean nothing to you? You puto. One day, I promise you, you're gonna regret this.
One day's about all you got left.
I hope you and your wife and children rot in hell.
So this definitely confirms John had a second child, but when? We can rule out the years of 1899, 1907, and 1910, as they are all playable years. We can also rule out the year 1896, as that's around the time John left, unless John had an affair during his time out of the gang. But that seems very unlikely based on the fact that John is supposed to be a loyal husband in both of the games, to the point where he cannot do anything that would even be considered flirting with another woman. And Abigail is aware of this child, meaning she would have been aware of the so-called affair. We can completely rule out John's daughter being born during John's time in the gang, as he mentions that years before she died, he rode in a gang, leading me to infer that she was born and died after 1899. This already means that we now have two time frames she could have been born in. The first is between 1900 and 1907, so that's 7 years she could have been born in. We also have the period between 1907 and 1911, but this would be extremely fresh in the minds of all the main characters, such as John, Uncle, Jack, and Abigail. But it seems unlikely, as she has no grave nor name. This could allude to a stillbirth, but if this happened when Jack was in his teens, he would probably mention it at some point when having his one-on-one with his dad at the end of the game. So we'll rule out 1907 to 1911. So, somewhere between 1900 and 1907. His Jack seems to be rather sensitive at this time, meaning he'd again probably mention it or speak about it, and Abigail doesn't seem to be as protective as a mother who just lost one of her children, leading me to conclude it's probably during their time travelling before 1907. I'd say somewhere between 1904 and 1905. So John's daughter was unnamed, supporting the theory she was probably stillborn, and born between 1904 and 1905, and that's why we don't have any information on her. To be fair, this is all we can really say, as from all the evidence supporting, she wasn't really a living person. There's only a little bit of evidence supporting that she could have lived a little while, as John mentions, had a daughter. You wouldn't, if they didn't even make a child past childbirth, you wouldn't really refer to them as, them being a person. There could be an alternative theory that John and Abigail did not have this child together, and that John's daughter is like a mistake child, basically, and she dies after John's been in the gang, but it's not because that was when she was born, but that's because that's how she died, which could be why Javier mentions that she was born, that there's children plural, because he obviously assumes she's still alive, and there'd be no way of Javier or any of the other gang members except for Uncle knowing about John having a second child, unless they were born, during John's time in the gang. So yeah, it's a rather short video about a theory to do with a game that, but yeah, I'm probably going to do a lot more of these as I have fun researching them and coming up with, finding time periods and stuff like that and doing evidence and cracking down on it. So I'm definitely going to make more videos like that. But I'm going to have to, research a lot more, because there's a lot of theories that have, a lot of unsolved mysteries, I guess, in Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. Such as the strange man, whether Jack is even John's kid, stuff like that. What else is it? There's, stuff about ghosts. There's the Curse of Armadillo. Loads of stuff. And what actually happened to Tumbleweed. It's a pretty easy one to think of, but, Anyway, yeah, it's going to be the end of the video. It was short, but it was it took me, for such a little amount of kind of evidence, I guess, it took me ages to come up with. I've been doing this for the last 2 hours, just coming up with evidence and stuff, so yeah.